So today we have gathered here for a very very special film. कुछ फिल्में ऐसी आती हैं हिंदी सिनेमा में हर 10-15 सालों में जो कि सिनेमा मतलब फिल्म इंडस्ट्री को कम्प्लीटली झंझोड़ के रख देती हैं, क्योंकि वो एक ऐसा नया डिस्टिंक्ट फिल्म मेकिंग स्टाइल इंट्रोड्यूस करती हैं जो कि पहले कभी ट्राई नहीं हुआ है। और जिस फिल्म के लिए आज हम लोग यहाँ पे बैठे हैं वो उन फिल्मों में से एक है। अगर आप लोग इस फिल्म को सपोर्ट करते हैं तो जेन्युइनली ये हिंदी सिनेमा को हमेशा के लिए बदल के रख सकती है। और साथ ही साथ कुछ फिल्में ऐसी भी होती हैं जो कि आपको पर्सनल लेवल पर इतना मूव कर जाती हैं और इतना ज़्यादा आपके अंदर एक नज़रिया आपको ऐसा दिखाती हैं कि आपकी लाइफ में कुछ चीज़ों के एसोसिएशंस उस फिल्म के साथ जुड़ जाती हैं। जब से मैंने ये फिल्म देखी है कुछ महीने पहले, मैं तब से लेके अब तक जब भी पहाड़ों में जाता हूँ और एक माउंटेन पीक को देखता हूँ, पहले मैं माउंटेन पीक को देखता था और सोचता था कि दिस इज़ अ ब्यूटीफुल माउंटेन, but now I look at a peak and I think about all the stories that are associated with that mountain peak. I think about all the political layers that are possibly behind that mountain peak. वो सिर्फ एक खूबसूरत पीक नहीं रह गई है मेरे लिए. It compels me to think about all the stories that are probably associated with it. साथ साथ मैं obviously ढूंढने की कोशिश करता हूँ मनोज सर कहीं पे उठ रहे होंगे आसपास उस पहाड़ के. पर आई मीन दिस विद ऑल माई हार्ट बाय द वे, आई एम नॉट मेकिंग दिस अप. लेकिन जब से मैंने फिल्म देखी है मैं पहाड़ों में जाता हूँ एंड इट हैज़ कम्प्लीटली चेंज द वे दैट आई लुक एट द माउंटेन्स नाउ. इट हैज़ ब्रॉट अ कम्प्लीटली न्यू फाउंड रिस्पेक्ट फॉर द इकोलॉजिकल ऑर्डर ऑफ द माउंटेन्स फॉर द लोकल्स, एंड आई थैंक यू फॉर इट. फिल्म का नाम है जुगनुमा, जिसके लिए आज हम मिले हैं और मेरे साथ हैं मिस्टर राम रेड्डी एंड मिस्टर मनोज बाजपेयी. थैंक यू सो मच फॉर ज्वाइनिंग मी. Manoj sir, I know कि आपका you have had a long day, but I hope that we can have a nice conversation, deep dive into the film and talk about everything that has gone behind the making of this beautiful film. सच में ऐसी फिल्म राम ना मैंने देखी है पहले, स्पेशली इंडियन सिनेमा में तो बिल्कुल ही नहीं देखी. तो let's just go back सबसे पहले 8-9 साल पहले
बताइए
कहाँ से शुरू हुई है फिल्म?
That's a great and loaded question. Well, I think I was really keen. So Titi was my first film, and my first film was this. It was with non-actors, and I kind of had inherited a world, and then created a cinematic world out of something that already existed. So I think the first starting point is I wanted to do something fictionalized, something that was born, completely from the page. Something that was new, that didn't exist. And so that was the starting point. I also was excited to work with mystery and suspense because my first film had dealt with comedy. So that was very exciting for me as an artist. Thirdly, I loved the genre of magic realism. The freedom that it offers, the kind of what it did to me internally when I was reading those great novels, when I was just watching also some, but magic realism is less explored in cinema, and I was so keen to try and explore that genre because I'm a bit of a dreamer. Like I'm not, my feet aren't always on the ground, as Manoj will attest to. Like sometimes I'm floating somewhere, I'm like like a balloon floating off somewhere, and you'll have to reel me in. That's how I've kind of been my whole life. So magic realism allows that little flight of creativity. It doesn't bind you, it frees you. So it's with that inner impulse that I started this project. It came from all these intentions. So it wasn't like a story that came and then I came around it. These intentions led me to the mountains you just described. There was no better place to take these intentions. They just felt like they belonged there. And there's this line in the film, it's hard to say what all these mountains have witnessed. Right? Because there's no, they are beyond us. They'll be there after we're gone. Right?
Yeah.
So that, I wanted that timeless setting to try and tell a story. So these were the starting points. These were the intentions. And then the first time when I was in the mountains, I was actually there for a film festival showing Titi in this very beautiful, there's this Sonapani Film Festival.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's like the purest way to celebrate cinema.
Yeah.
So I'd gone there for a weekend, and while I was at Sonapani Film Festival, there was a forest fire nearby. And, Ashish, who was running it at the time, he went with the locals to fight that fire. And I went with him. And that's when I was like, suspense and mystery there's no better setting if you like. So the fire in a mountain like that is like the perfect crime because it's vast and it's like massive.
Yeah.
So that was a great narrative hook. You know, I said this could form the narrative spine of these intentions, and then slowly it built step by
It's
step.
like it just fell together at the right time for you.
Yeah, as in these were the starting points, and usually I need a starter that gets me excited. Once the starter is there, I kind of submit myself to this process of world building that's very like organic. It takes its time. It kind of just I move with it. So I went and lived there for 3 months without a proper story. You know, like for example, that house that I found, that helped also write the characters because I found the location and the house and all that before I had the complete story. And you know, the scene one that we very passionately put together, that was also born out of the geography of that pre-existing space, from that bedroom to the edge of a cliff. So this is how my process kind of starts and forms. And then once I feel like I'm bursting, like I'm a cloud full of thoughts, ideas, and feelings, that's when I write.
And then at what point did you figure out what the ideas are that you want to communicate through this film? Because the film has very strong, for example, anti-colonial themes.
Yes.
It is essentially at its heart, it's about the inheritance of colonial
Yes.
greed. So how did you reach that point?
Yeah, so in those 3 months is when all these layers form. So it's like these layers to the script. I think. So I grew up spending time in an estate in South India near Ooty, where it's very similar to the estate in the film. You know, so I would spend time in holidays and stuff in that like hill station nature environment, and I was always very fascinated by that socio-political context, that phenomenon. You know, I see the power structure within those estates. Firstly, they've come from the colonial time into, you know, present day, shifting hands from the British to, well, like Indians who were, you know, somehow with the British, part of their,
Yeah.
you know, system, their government, and then from there it went into private hands. They're very interesting if you look at the histories of some of these estates. Extremely interesting.
Yeah.
And eventually these estates have been inherited from the colonial restructuring to wealthy families. And so, you know, that was the background. And so there's somebody sitting on top in a position of power that they inherited. Firstly, they didn't fight for it. They didn't go on a conquest for it. It came to them, you know, and so there's no feeling of we won this but they still own it. So that I found very fascinating, that dual nature of that thing. And then the several layers that are there. So then there's the manager of the estate, for example, in any of these estates, who is the bridge between the owners and the locals. And they're the locals. Now the locals may have been there before this reorganization of land happened, you know, but they just have to accept the position of power. Now the people who are in power, they're not to blame, you know. They might have an excellent relationship with the locals, but still it's structured a certain way. So I found that very fascinating. And also in the film, there's another group of people who are nomads, who aren't linked at all to that land, but just happen to be passing through it.
Yeah.
So it was a way to kind of, you know, take a look at all these aspects of society. You know, what does ownership really mean? Do we own nature? Do we own the trees? Do we own the stars? You know, these are lesser thoughts in my mind and heart. And the family are asking those questions in various ways through the narrative. You know, so and they rise above some of that. But you know, that's that's what the film is about.
And Manoj sir, like what was your reaction when you heard the story for the first time? It is such an unusual story in itself. इस तरीके का कुछ दूर दूर तक नहीं बना है हिंदी सिनेमा में आज तक. आपका क्या रिएक्शन था जब पहली बार आपने ये कहानी सुनी, एंड were you immediately drawn to it, or did you take some time to think about whether or not you wanted to do it?
Surprisingly, before I tell you about Tithi and what it has done to me, the casting director Tess is somebody who's known to me, and She keeps getting me scripts, so sadly, I could not be part of any one of those. But this one, when I read, I finished it. I was in the same state of mind as the protagonist, Dev. The seeking became very intense for me, and I decided, just when I decided to be off cinema for some time and refused taking anything for a year. I just wanted to be on my own. I was deeply getting into Kriya Yoga, and the intensity to seek answer kept on becoming stronger. That is when it it just dropped on my lap.
Lucky me.
As soon as I started reading the script, I didn't stop even for a bit, even for a cup of tea, even to go to the washroom, nothing. They started speaking to me very, very loudly, and I could see myself in Dev. I could understand his state of mind, a mind which was completely, conflicted between attachment and detachment. A man who wants to liberate himself from everything and finding himself completely engrossed in the workshop, working on the wings. And that's a symbol. And that symbol worked so loudly with me. So I spoke to Tess. I said, Tess, I think I'll do it. Should I call Ram? I'm like, okay. Where does he stay? He stays in Bangalore. The first time, this person, the director, he doesn't stay in Bombay. So now, okay, I said, okay, so on this date, so yeah, around this time, he can be in Bombay. We met in Indigo restaurant, right?
I was so nervous.
Yeah. I had a little bit of questions about it, but mostly I was getting the script. And I was getting the character. I could see the character within me, and I knew that even if today I go on the set, I'm ready to do it because I was that person at that point of time. I was that person who was conflicted. I was that person who had this intense urge of leaving cinema forever. I had this intense urge within me to shift to some other place and do something else, but be part of cinema at all. So I was going through all of those questions, and they were only getting intense and intense with each passing day. And this script happened. After that, I realized that somewhere some divine force is actually pushing me towards this film. Even for his, you will not believe, I sat with him for many months. And Joshi, his wife, very sweetly, she was serving me with dry fruits and food and tea while we were completely, into the script, discussing, reading.
She was also being a good producer.
Yeah, so mostly I used to be found at his place in Fort Bungalows. Those were the times of exploring the script, and finding the character, having a lot of clarity about it. So I think this is the longest that I have worked on any character other than Kannu Behal's Dispatch.
Oh.
Yeah. So even on the first day, when I had to land on the set.
And you grew a beard.
I grew beard.
Yeah.
I grew beard. I was completely off everything. I didn't have any other commitment. I decided that I'm going to be there till the shoot ends. And also told my family that you guys can join me in the spring vacation. So I was completely cut off. And not that I had any regret that I'm going to be cut off from this city or this industry. So we decided to meet at a at a juncture which is right in the middle of the location and the station, Kathgodam station. And that was Kanchi Dham, because I wanted to meditate there. So he said, Manoj, I'll also come. I said, okay, so I'll get some parathas. Okay, you get some parathas. You remember?
Of course I remember. One of my core memories.
So we went inside. I sat for a very long time in meditation, and after that we went to Ranikhet, right? For a night, and then we went to, from there we went to the cave of Mahotar Babaji, just around 3 hours from there. And we climbed up from the base.
During a storm.
During a storm. And rain, bad rain.
Climbing, he's climbing like...
Yeah.
I mean, I saw that resolve in him that day. We hadn't worked together, but I just saw his resolve. Not
It was just the two of you?
just, I mean, but 3-4 of us.
I mean, 2 of us and one more person who's a local line producer.
Small group, yeah.
Small group. And
तो लोग देख के बोल नहीं रहे थे मनोज बाजपेयी क्या कर रहे हैं यहाँ पे?
एक दो
एक दो लोगों ने बोला. That was a comedy. That's another comedy that has happened. But हम लोग अकेले थे, चलते जा रहे थे. And केप में गए, वहाँ पे कुछ लोग आए थे, उनको पता नहीं था कि ये what is Kriya Yoga and what does it mean to, to visit the cave. So they started chanting loudly in cave. And we actually went there to meditate, just to be there. And this is what that cave is for. I found it very hard to meditate there because of the people who were making noise, they were chit-chatting, they were doing all side talk. But finally he was sitting in one corner, I was sitting in another corner, we were meditating. And when we opened our eyes, all of them were gone. As we looked outside the gate, it was all white.
True.
Meanwhile, the snow covered the whole forest.
There was not a single bit of white. It was like just dry, barren
Right.
rain and sleet and, winds. When we came out, it was just white.
White.
Everything was covered.
And we looked at each other and he said, Manojji, we found our film. I said, yes, I think we found it. So, what I'm trying to tell you, why I'm narrating you this incident is the journey to find the soul of the film is somewhere else. And that can trigger, anything can trigger. Just picking a bottle can trigger. Just being in a place in the right time can trigger. Anything can trigger. But Jugnuma kind of a film, for me, it was a divine experience. Throughout, I don't think I was an actor who was performing. I don't think at any point of time I felt that this is the character I have got and this is the character I'm trying to be. This is the camera that I'm performing for. No, I was just being, nothing else. I was just being like Dev. I was just being there and behaving just in the manner Dev was behaving on the set. I could not, after a point, I could not separate myself from Dev. I could not say that, it is Manoj Bajpayee ends here and Dev begins here, or Dev ends here, Manoj Bajpayee begins. For me, that kind of a world, I have reached there. I was there. My family and everybody was there, but they are completely trained not to, disturb me. But I was just, I don't see any point, any moment where I felt that I'm an actor. So whatever you see is what these guys saw behind the camera or after the shoot. I was like that only. Also because, Dev's mind was my mind at that point of time. Dev's conflict was my conflict, when we were shooting. The seeking and the existential crisis, all of it something that I was going through. It was not mild. It was very, very intense. As I told you, it was so intense that I started contemplating very seriously of leaving this city and the industry.
Wow. तो राम we need to thank you.
brought back.
तो भाई मतलब समझ रहे हो ये फिल्म देखना कितना ज़रूरी है. इस फिल्म की वजह से मनोज बाजपेयी अभी रह गए हैं मुंबई में और वो फिल्में कर रहे हैं अभी भी. ये फिल्म रिस्पॉन्सिबल है फैमिली मैन वगैरह सारी चीज़ों के लिए.
No, and I can totally attest to what you were saying, because there was a period where Dave was getting more detached.
Right.
He was also he'll be walking around somewhere alone, and then there'll be times when Dave is like totally like relaxed and he'll be with everybody, like absolutely just melting into that space and world.
And I mean, now that you describe all that, I mean, I'm thinking about his character again. I'm thinking about it's such a complex character, first of all, because number one, he's not human, right? I mean, the lines over there are blurred.
It's the interpretation, yeah.
It's the interpretation, of course. The lines over there are blurred, but of course there is some aspect of magic realism there.
Right.
And on top of that, there is this entire conflict, plus his reckoning with his own privilege.
Yeah.
That is also such an important part of it. But sir, another thing that is so striking about this character, I mean, of course you have done some characters like that before as well, where you emoted more through silences and more through your eyes. Even Gulmohar, I believe, like it was like slightly more restrained as a character. Right. But here it is like really, really.
It's more, see, the difference between other characters and this is that the other characters are worldly, coming from worldly world. Dave is not. Dave is already in the workshop, preparing to fly. That itself says that he's not here. Mentally he's just not here. So he silences and he pauses. His inner conflict is far beyond that worldly world's human beings thinking. His search is way beyond anybody's imagination. He's somewhere else. Somebody who just wants to fly away. And the problem starts, and this is the spiritual definition also. The more you get attached to things, more miserable you become. And that was my interpretation to my character. More he starts getting attached to his orchard, more miserable he keeps on becoming. His search for the person who is burning is a wrong search. There is a nature, message to you. Instead of getting that message, he's running after that guy who's responsible for this. The whole search was wrong. And when he gets the message, and that is when he sends everybody home. That is when he wants to be left alone. So, and that is when the firefly starts coming down. So there's a very vast spiritual meaning to it. Yeah. That's how I see it. Yeah. That's how he may see it, or his interpretation may be different. But somewhere there was a middle ground where he was coming from, where I was coming from.
No, I think we were. So this whole serendipity was incredibly mind blowing to me, because I approached Manojji for his, I didn't know him. I'd come from Titi. I was living in Bangalore. Like, what do I know, right? And I approached him because I loved his work as a transformative actor. That was where I came from. But I had never in my wildest dreams imagined that we would connect so deeply on the deeper aspect of the script, which also means so much to me. So while the layers that we were discussing, the deepest layer is where our hearts connected instantly. Can you imagine how that would make someone who's trying to create something a little ephemeral, a little bit,
Yeah.
It's rare. He's rare. He's rare not just as an actor, but as a being and as a soul.
Yeah.
So that connect, from then on, I was, I said, I'll meet you at Ketchidam, let's go up the hill, let's do it. You want to jump off the cliff? In fact, once while doing it, a trial take, I also fell off the cliff. So I said, you jump off the cliff, I'll jump off. Let's go, let's go. So... I feel that's one of the key reasons why this film feels the way it does. You know,
Yeah.
people that have been seeing
Yeah.
the trailer and they're like, you know, we got emotional multiple times through the trailer. I'm like, sure, that has to do with, you know, the trailer, but it also has to do with souls connecting in a certain way to
Right.
create a piece of art together. You know, where they're all like on a wavelength where it amplifies. So that's why it's been such a special journey for me. And
It's been a divine experience, I would say.
Wow.
Not only with the script or the character, but also with the making. With Ram, he's an old soul. Ram, बुढ़ी आत्मा है अंदर में इसके. So
no hair.
so and is far junior to me, but I feel that he has why I called him old soul, that the old souls are trapped in a young body, right?
Of course, yes.
And they have so much to give it to you. They have so much to impart, that knowledge, that learning. At the end of the day, you just watch them from a distance and just observe them, and this is what he is. So throughout, for me, he was at one point of time, he was jumping like and buzzing into my ear.
Annoying the hell out of me.
And another time, he is behind the camera looking into the lenses, and the other time he's going to the sound box, is listening to the sound. So since he knows the sound so well, he knows the camera so well, he exactly knew what he wanted from the film. Not only what he was seeing, but what he was hearing. So the okay take had to be approved by Ram, going from camera to the sound guy and hearing the sound. So this is cinema-wise, it was a great learning seeing this talent who has so much of caliber, so much of understanding of all aspects of cinema, and a human being who has a far greater understanding about divinity, about only those people can write Jugnuma. It can't happen to you if you are not understanding the deeper meaning of the existence, right?
Or searching for it.
Or
at
searching
least.
for it, yeah.
It's been a process for me of
Yeah.
searching for that. The whole film has, and it's been like, it's been like a pilgrimage. You know, it's taken time, and but we wanted to find that, and that's something that's not easy, you know, to find. And in fact, like the experience of going to the cave, like it touched me so much that I came back down and I wrote a poem about it and I sent it to him.
Right.
And you know, I just because when we drove away from the cave and we looked back in the mountains, so I'm saying we've got far down, we could see that there was snow only on that one or two peaks.
That's it.
So it wasn't a snowy day. This was spring. We're talking about spring. You know, we were shooting. Yeah, we were shooting in spring, and
राग मल्हार type की situation लग रही है मेरे को.
Right.
It's almost like you guys like manifested the snow with your.
I don't know about me because I was just like chilling in the cave, but he definitely was doing something.
I was somewhere else. I was. This is that climb is something I always looked forward to. I wanted to go there, and there is nothing. It's a cave where once upon a time, Babaji was found in those mountains, in that cave, and now the followers of Babaji, one of them is Rajnikantji, as they have given it a cemented shape to it. People go there and meditate. That's it. There's nothing else to it. It's kind of this big. That's it. But going there and coming back and meditating there will leave you with so much of an experience that you can't describe. You can't tell anyone. You can't, in words, it's very difficult, Yeah.
I'm laughing because I'm remembering that group of people that saw him trekking up the tree. I mean, not the tree, up the hill. And they went down, and these two guys, of course, recognized him. He was walking like this because also like it was raining and stuff. So they saw him and they did a double take and they went down. They went down to the rest of the group and they're like, Manoj Bajpayee came on. And then this old Delhi auntie was like, Manoj Bajpayee, सच में बुलाओ उसको कहाँ है बुलाओ उसको and Manoj is like halfway up the hill and I'm somewhere behind him and I'm just like laughing.
Almost like that experience that the both of you had, which is, I mean, it feels like one of those rare divine like experiences that you have once in your lifetime. It feels like the both of you had that collective experience.
Right.
और आप दोनों ने उसको एक साथ मतलब एक अपने मुट्ठी में संजो के उसको एक फिल्म के अंदर डाल दिया है.
Yeah, I mean,
indirectly
yes.
people are experiencing that through the film.
In a way, yes. Because the entire journey, after we reached there, it felt like that. But I was feeling it just when I reached the middle of the script. I felt that, something is pushing me towards it. Something is pushing me towards it. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. And it happened to me for the first time. And that's when I said, okay, let's go ahead and do it. और एक तो क्या है कि इनको कीड़ा है अंग्रेजी. एक तो हम किसी तरह से सीखा हमने, गांव से आए हुए आदमी. अब जब सीख लिया तो कहते हैं नहीं, अब आपको कॉन्वेंट टाइप की इंग्लिश बोलनी है. मैंने कहा कॉन्वेंट टाइप की इंग्लिश क्या होती है? आई डोंट नो. देन ही हायर्ड
अभी तो डब तो होगा तो
coach for that. So I was doing the exercises with Hetal used to give it to me. A-E-O-I-U, A-E-O-I-U. I still remember A-E-O-I-U. So, and then one day I was doing this exercise at home. My wife Shavana, she's from convent and she's English is the first language. And she heard me doing this. What are you doing? Have you gone mad or what? And I know this is an English exercise that my coach has given it to me. What is she teaching you then? Your English is fine. What happened? I know, but Ram thinks that I should speak in a certain way. What?
I really troubled him.
But in the process, I understood. The script was, kind of memorized backwards for me. I went through it so many times, alone with him or with Hetal. So I was thorough with the script.
It's been 9 years, you're saying, since the genesis of the idea came to you. Just take us through the journey a little bit. Like how, because I mean, when a general person in the audience sees a film, they don't see those 9 years, right? That have gone into making, especially for somebody like you who does not necessarily come from a Mumbai film background. You came from the outside and you have made this big film with somebody like Manoj sir. So like how does the journey of a film like this work?
Yeah, I could write a book or two. But I'll try to be a little brief and just run you through it. I mean, like I said, firstly, my initial processes are pretty organic, where I allow kind of life to play a role in building the narrative. Once I have all that outlined together is when I go off to write. I usually write the first draft in a spurt. So like I won't stop for say a couple of weeks and I'll have a draft. That'll be the first draft. After you get the first draft is nonsense. Like it's like just, you think, you're going to write a draft and bang it on the table saying, check it out, 2 weeks. No, that's not how it typically works. Maybe it works for others. That's not how it works for me.
Right.
So I have draft 0, I call it, because it's good for nothing.
Right.
So draft 0 comes. Then it's this iterative process where you then work with what's on the page, and then you work with it and you try to improve it. So that's the writing process. So it goes through drafts, and then once you have the script, the dream was quite scaly. Like I wanted, to have these elements. I wanted to work with actors with a high degree of control because the script demanded it. It's not the same thing like looking to work with, say, somebody like who's a star. It's more like I want the best actor with this control to bring this script. Who's the best person who could play this? So then you start from that process. Then if the dream forms, that Manoj ji would be, that when it did form, as I finished writing it, then you have to go after that dream. I'm sitting in Bangalore, like, in the silence, working. And then, so that becomes a process. And because it was a bit scaly, then we had to try to figure out how to position it, how to raise the money to make it. Then that was a process, right? So then sharing the script with actors, getting them to, then getting their dates, getting the process of all that, and trying to raise the money. That whole thing takes some time when you're working outside of the system. Then once everyone is cast and everything is good, I, of course, have to take on all the challenges in one movie, which in hindsight I think was quite idiotic. But I mean, I'm happy 9 years down the line, but I never thought it would take 9 years. So we wanted to shoot on film. We wanted to shoot in the spring, in the mountains, where you can't predict when those flowers are going to come. But no, you want a big unit with everyone, with your film in the middle of nowhere. So we wanted to shoot in spring, so we had to wait for the season. So there'd be periods where we were waiting, and I was doing some other small work on my own, but waiting for the right thing to happen. So did all that, got everything together, that was the whole process, build a unit, you search for collaborators who can bring your vision to light. And when it's such a particular dream, that's a process in itself. And then you have to find those people who will put their heart and soul into it like you will, and share that dream with you, and I lucked out with some of the best sort of collaborators. But finding there are all these like angels like hiding, like you have to like kind of seek them out. And so finally when everything was ready and we were off, I had developed a film for maybe some 3 years or something by then, 2.5. 3 days into shoot, we get the notice of the first lockdown. So we're all there. The dream is coming to light. I have this immense will built up in me that I'm going to I don't know how I'm going to pull it off. I was so nervous, all that. But that will was there, And then the most bizarre event in the last 100 years took place. I remember reading a New York Times article 3-4 days before the lockdown talking about the potential destruction that this pandemic, and I was like, this can't be true. This is not New York Times. New York Times, this is a hoax. This is not true. So then I don't want to go into that memory because I don't want to taint, the beauty of this process with the memory of the pandemic. But then the pandemic happened and 3 years,
Right. So the process completely stalled for 3 years?
No, it didn't stall. It stopped, started. We got stuck for 3 months in the mountains. No one could shoot. Everyone went back. Then we came back during the Delta wave. Then every day we were not sure, would we shoot? Would we be, just like Francis Ford Coppola on The Godfather.
I had lunches at the DM's house three times.
I thought
just to make sure that he helps us and supports us.
Without Manoj, we wouldn't have finished the schedule.
With the shooting.
For sure.
Yeah.
Because it was like we were going to be shut down every day.
Yeah.
Every day we thought we're going to have to
3 times
pack up and go home.
And that man was so, after that he was so helpful. I don't know whether should I say this in this interview or not, but once these guys they came down the hills to shoot a sequence in the village, right?
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
So since I have had a lot of familiarity with the SP and the DM and entertained the families and all of them, so now we were talking quite regularly on the phone. I just wanted them to be with us. And very sweetly they created a bubble right on top of the mountain where we were staying, also shooting. So the SP told me, when the next time I went there, he told me that when they were shooting in the village, there was this journalist, local journalist, he took the video of shooting happening. And then he went to the police station. And while this guy was talking to the Thana in charge, the Thana in charge called up SP. And he said that, sir, ये video लेके आया है. So SP said, okay, so don't write any complaint. Take the phone, delete the video, and tell him that the video is not there. The Thana in charge actually took the phone, deleted the stuff, and said, "Kidhar gaya tera? किधर है? सर अभी तो था यहाँ पे, नहीं किधर किधर है, तू देख खोज के बताना मुझे." And that, see the without the administration support, because they saw something very honest happening out there. Right. These people,
And our intentions were
yeah,
so pure. We were working
Yeah.
with the community. And,
yeah.
You know, like the intentions were completely pure, even towards the state. We wanted to show
Very
it in,
unlike
in
any,
all its glory.
unlike film
you know?
industry people, these people are very quietly, honestly, shooting there, without disturbing or being flamboyant about the shoot. They're just quietly, they're on top of the mountain and they're not disturbing the piece, or they're not making it difficult for the administration. They were very helpful.
And we were in a bubble too.
Yeah.
So.
So,
Yeah.
but
Challenges like this abounded. Like, they were just challenge after challenge after challenge. And
the beautiful thing is when we look back and think about it in hindsight. All of us were together. It was like this. Nobody was breaking away. Nobody was leaving the hope. Everyone believed in his vision. They just loved each other, being with each other. That was the beautiful, beautiful aspect of all that we went through, So yeah, sometimes some experiences become very, very special, and it shows in the film.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ram, of course, you've shot the film on film, and it looks unlike anything that we have seen in Hindi cinema, at least for a long time. Could you please talk a little bit about that choice, especially again for the general, for a layman in the audience, जिनको सिर्फ सुनने में आता है कि भाई एक फिल्म पे शूट हुई है, पर उसका मतलब नहीं पता कि क्या है, और क्यों एक फिल्म मेकर इतना महंगा होने के बावजूद वो चॉइस बनाता है कि मैं फिल्म पे जो शूट करूँगा.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many aspects to that choice. Firstly, it was an extremely clear choice. It was always a dream of mine. I would have shot my first film on film too if I could have.
It was shot on film?
No, Titi was shot on digital, but we tried to emulate film.
Right.
So now we thought, let's try the OG version. Well, it's been the medium since cinema began. And I'm a digital baby. In the sense, I learned filmmaking via DSLRs and digital cameras. So for me, the seed started when I started taking photos on film. Like otherwise photos, everything was on digital. And when that shutter falls, it's like something happens inside. Yeah. It's like you hear a butterfly wing flap or whatever you want to call it. It just feels like that. Some connection happens at that moment between the subject, the image, and the vision or the creator or whatever you want to call it. And there's a unity in that split second of exposure, that I always felt different when you went back and saw it or felt it. The image translated differently. So that was the seed. And then there's so many reasons why this one should be shot on film. Firstly, it was set in the 1980s, late 80s. And that's when that was the medium that was available then. So what better design element, than to use the medium of the time to make it feel like it's from that time. Yeah. So that's a realism side to it. It helps with this willing suspension of disbelief that this family actually existed then, that they were actually there at that point in time. So there's that. And then there's another layer which I love, which is the rigor of it. The rigor of film, it translates beyond the image to the process itself, to how well planned you are, to how careful you have to be with your craft, right? Like the discipline of it, it's beautiful. It helps bring everyone together, especially when we're in the digital era where you feel a certain way about a camera rolling. You feel differently when you hear that shutter roll. Yeah. Right. And everyone does. And last but not least, I think it's beautiful. without any intellectualization. Right. I just find it to feel emotional. You know, it's a little impressionistic. Digital's very sharp and you see everything. So there's nothing left beyond the frame to imagination.
Correct.
Right? So it's like even in art history, when Impressionism began, was when I started to like art even more in the historical timeline.
Right.
For me, Impressionism, where you're not obsessed with form, but you're obsessed with the emotion behind the form. I like that so much more, you know, as a narrative storyteller, because it's emotion first always. You know?
Also, the result of it, when you see, I mean, you have seen the result of it, you feel that there's a life. I mean, it's very lifelike. You know, it's not like everything is clean, sharp. You know, so there's a grain.
Correct.
There's a grain that you can feel. I started my career with not 35 mm, 16 mm. So I know exactly what he's saying. And now when you see a film, that there's so much brightness to it and so much sharpness to it that you feel that there is something very cosmetic to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes it look like a fairy tale almost.
Right.
Which I believe is also the intention that you're going for. आप तो एक तरीके से आपके लिए तो एक काफ़ी बड़ा interesting full circle moment है, क्योंकि of course when you started you were, of course the films were still being shot on film, but then you were a part of Chittagong, which was technically the first digital film
Right.
In Hindi cinema, right? As far as I believe, and
They were shot on red, yeah.
yeah, I believe it was like one of the first, or probably the first, because your director of that film, he was a big proponent of the usage of digital.
Right,
and
right.
now from there to now, filmmakers still again wanting to.
I think the beauty of digital is more in the process to me than the result, because it allows you a little bit more experimentation. You can, you know, the cameras are small. You can do those kind of things. So that's exciting for a different kind of film. But when you're trying to tell something rooted, you want it to have a feeling of timelessness. You know, film for me is the greater medium, and I'll say that like between the two, because. I just love it. I just love it.
I mean, there's no reason to it.
Beyond that,
No, I also love मतलब हर्जोग इस बारे में बहुत बात करते हैं ना, वो बोलते हैं कि मतलब डिजिटल की वजह से जो यंग फिल्म मेकर्स हैं, मतलब वो जिस तरीके से इस चीज़ को डिस्क्राइब करते हैं कि यंग फिल्म मेकर्स हैव बिकम रियली like frivolous with like how they're shooting basically, कि वो हजारों घंटे की फुटेज शूट कर लेते हैं just because they can. And probably the thing that you were saying, because you have that discipline कि आपको कंटेन करना अपना.
पहले क्या था ना, पहले जब हम लोग फिल्म पे शूट करते थे तो वन टेक एक्टर जो होता था ना, वो सेलिब्रेट करते थे.
he's a one take actor. You know, I made him do lots of takes, and then in the edit I would choose the first take anyway.
So the one take actor in this film industry used to be celebrated. कई बार तो ज़्यादातर एक्टर को इसलिए लेते थे, अरे यार वन टेक एक्टर है यार, ज़्यादा वेस्ट नहीं होगा उसके साथ में. तो you know, your life used to be at stake. If you go beyond 2 takes, the producers they used to start bitching about the actor. अगले फिल्म में नहीं लेना है इसको, बहुत फुटेज खर्च करता है ये. And the magazine used to be expensive.
Correct.
For that time. It used to be expensive, and I would like.
That's 35 mm, which is 3-4 times more expensive than 16 mm.
16 mm, yeah.
सर आप मैजिक रियलिज्म के फैन हो? वैसे मैजिक रियलिज्म एज अ जॉनरा के आप फैन हो?
Yeah, definitely. मतलब who is not? मतलब what is magic realism? You know, everybody, you, me, him, or anybody in this room, they want to, you know, just rise above the realism, right? They want to conquer their own situation and be in a good place, in a fairy tale place, right?
Yeah.
तो मैजिक रियलिज्म वही है. अगर रियल सेंस में देखो तो मैजिक रियलिज्म वही है. एंड इफ यू सी इट ऑन द स्क्रीन, इट मेक्स यू फील दैट इट्स यू हु इज पार्ट ऑफ इट, बिकॉज इट्स पार्ट ऑफ योर विश, इट्स पार्ट ऑफ योर एम्बिशन, इट्स पार्ट. होता है ना कि मेरी विश लिस्ट है यार, काश मैं जो है परियों का जो कथा सुनी है मैंने, काश मैं उसका पार्ट हो जाता. बिकॉज इट्स हैप्पी, इट्स विदाउट स्ट्रेस, इट्स जस्ट एवरीथिंग इज नाइस, ब्यूटिफुल. दैट्स मैजिक रियलिज्म.
You just need to allow yourself
Yeah.
to let go enough to feel it.
Yeah.
And that's something I wanted to try to do with the film, is make people invested enough to disarm themselves a little bit and just let yourself. So it's basically, the magic is against what? It's against logic.
Right.
So on one side you have magic, and on the other side you have logic.
Right.
And you can decide where you want to abide.
Yeah.
But it's nice to get out, even if logic, we need logic. And that's why there's realism in magic realism.
Yeah.
But we also need magic.
Yeah.
Right? That's all this genre is trying to say. And that story that we narrated to you, whether... Example. That's an example. Obviously there must have just been snow in the area and it happened at the time we were there. Coincidence, maybe. But
if you're going in that direction, that you're ruining it.
Yeah. If you go towards logic with it, then you're ruining it.
You're ruining it.
Yeah.
Because it felt magical to us.
Just pure experience at that point of time, what you felt just by looking at it, that moment is the film. That moment is called magic realism.
Yeah. Ram, you have spoken so much about magic realism, the fact that you wanted to make a magic realist film, and that's where it all started. I'm assuming that you have been a big fan of magic realism films yourself. If you just had to recommend some magic realism film, हम humans of cinema में हैं, जहाँ पे recommendation के बिना तो खत्म नहीं होता इंटरव्यू, तो फिर अगर आप कुछ magic realism films recommend करना चाहो जो आपकी favorite रही हैं.
So, Emir Kusturica, who, he studied in Prague as well. So when I was in Prague, and a lot of Czech cinema had magic realism traditions, I actually lived near Franz Kafka's grave. So when I was in Prague, my flat was nearby and I used to just go and hang around his grave. And
that's why the existential crisis.
Kafka-esque, right?
Yeah, to the truest sense of the word.
So I discovered Emir Kusturica when I was in, and I had the wonderful opportunity of meeting him in Shanghai when Titi was playing in Shanghai and he was on the jury. And so his films, Time of the Gypsies, and When Father Was Away on Business, and just the way he used cinema with the Black Cat, White Cat. I love his work and his films. So I highly recommend. I learned a lot from his work and his films. The Korean director Lee Chang-dong, who after a long break came back with Burning, but his early work, Oasis, those films again were very, very, you could see his hand in the way he used the space. And the beauty of magic realism is that each artist can use the space slightly differently, right? So beyond telling the story, you can have your own interpretation or trademark of the genre. So I like these two guys a lot for that. And then, of course, in animation, though, because it's animation, the list is really, really big.
Yeah, animation is something which is serving everyone who is fond of magic realism. Yeah. I love animation. I love them. I'm very reluctantly, I always get into watching an animation film. Yeah. Because I've always, when we started, there was a whole idea of getting the performance to the realistic level. The realism was something that that my generation was really after, achieving it.
Yeah.
So if you look at my generation actors and how they broke into cinema and how their definition of performances were completely different. Be it KK or Irfan or myself. All of us had a very distinct way of doing things, right? Before that, a different kind of method that people are doing, be it in parlor cinema or in mainstream cinema. It's just when our generation, started getting busier and busier, the performances started changing. Also, the new generation of actors who were growing up in the industry, they were also growing up watching the realism in Western cinema. we were completely oblivious to it because we were not exposed to Western cinema that much in Delhi, right? So for me, magic realism is something I was part of in theatre, the plays that we've done.
It's a genre that needs guts.
Yeah.
So when the scale is smaller, literature, theatre,
Right.
people go wild with it.
Wild with it.
Yeah.
And audiences also go wild with it.
Right.
Yeah.
Breaking it into cinema,
Yeah.
that's a journey.
It's costly.
Yes.
You know, there are 500-600 VFX shots in this film. So all
Right.
just, in the 16mm. So a lot of it's invisible. But we had no flowers because of this weather. We waited. We had all the flowers. There was a hailstorm that got rid of all the flowers 2 days before shooting.
2 days before shooting.
Again, it was a spring hailstorm, one hailstorm. Why do they have to get rid of all the flowers? Then spend years recreating. So almost every flower you see on screen is CGI.
Yeah.
Baapre. But that's really good VFX work then. Because
It's-
it's
No,
indistinguishable.
He will not let it pass. You should know him. Ask his father, Mr. Pratap Reddy. he will not let it go.
तभी तो 9 साल लग गए फिर कंप्लीट होने में।
Yeah, it does take.
लेकिन सर आपकी कोई है कोई मेमोरी जैसे मैजिक रिलीज प्लेस करने की उस टाइम में कोई आपको
है मेरे प्लेस वो प्लेस जो थे वो लिखे भी गए थे डायरेक्टर्स ने लिखे थे बट प्लेस का मैं पार्ट रहा हूँ सी इन प्लेस इट रिक्वायर्स अ लॉट ऑफ इमेजिनेशन बिकॉज यू आर डूइंग इट ऑन स्टेज डेफिनेटली नॉट ऑन सिनेमा सो यू Robin Das is a director who is Odia, but National School Drama graduate and who was also teaching in National School Drama. I was directing outside also for NSD, but something. I mean, he took a liking for me, and I became his favorite actor. And then he's done few stuff with me on stage. With the design, with the setting, just with the sheet, color sheet, he created some magic on stage. And people used to be enthralled completely. I think the magic realism that you achieve on stage, I may be biased about it because I love that medium. On screen, you can spend money, you can shoot it, but the people who are sitting in that theater will not get the same feeling as they will experience it in a play. Because it's an amazing suspension of belief.
Yeah.
Amazing. I mean, the people are there. They know that all of these things are happening right in front of us. We know that it's a play, and you can see it with your naked eyes right in front of you.
Yeah.
But it's still that kind of suspension you don't feel anywhere. Yeah.
So film helps with that. Like
Right.
shooting on film helps that transference because
absolutely.
what happens in theater is that transference is unblocked by all the medium
Right.
in between that's processing it,
Right.
right? And I felt this with Manojji on set when he is performing, especially the deeper scenes,
Right.
that aura spreads outwards beyond him across the mountains. Like definitely it's reaching me and I'm sure I've gone out to have a snack. It's reaching me near the snack table also. You feel that, So yeah, I just keep going back to that feeling
Right.
that, try to put it into a work of art
Yeah.
and then hope that same feeling is transferred.
So, in a way he's right because I never performed. अगर कोई आपके कहे कि आपकी डिफिकल्ट परफॉर्मेंस कौन से आपकी जुगनुमा आपकी बहुत डिफिकल्ट रही होगी बिकॉज ऑफ द साइलेंस दे मिस दे ट्राई टू फाइंड बेटर वर्ड्स सो दे विल से जुगनुमा लुकिंग एट इट मस्ट बी वेरी डिफिकल्ट बिकॉज इट्स मोर अबाउट जस्ट बीइंग देयर राइट यू आर नॉट परफॉर्मिंग यू कांट परफॉर्म आई डोंट थिंक यू कैन परफॉर्म देव थ्रू आउट आई जस्ट फेल्ट इट आई हैव जस्ट बीन देयर.
And that's the
Nothing.
feeling that
Yeah.
moves, that glows. It's almost like you have to get rid of yourself for your true spirit to permeate, right?
Okay, on an ending note, I want to end the conversation by talking about the beautiful opening scene. क्योंकि हम सस्पेंशन ऑफ बिलीफ की बात कर रहे हैं, सस्पेंशन ऑफ बिलीफ आप एक फिल्म में आप बताओ
Do you want to talk about the opening scene?
I'll add few things here and there.
Yeah, I mean that opening scene actually tells you so much about what we were trying to do with the film in totality. You want to be close to the character, the human side of the character. You want to travel with them, and I always believed in geographic mobility to establish a space rather than kicking back and just showing a wide shot. I want to move with my characters through spaces, and in that way introduce the audience both to the character and the spaces. So it was designed like that, where we move from something as mundane as brushing your teeth. You're with the person in their private space. You move through the house, into the garden, into a workshop. And then I'm going to leave it there because something happens in the workshop. And then you end with something that's unexpected and probably the last thing you'd expect when you see a man brushing his teeth.
Yeah, true.
Right? And so that says that whatever, logic you've come with, put it aside.
Put it aside.
Put it aside, because this film is not afraid to take risks.
Right.
We are not afraid to be put in a box.
Right.
We will surprise you.
Yeah. What I do inside the workshop, what I carry with myself, just to do that, I must have practiced it in Bombay, in the first sked in Satauli, and then there was lockdown. Then again, many times, eventually where we were shooting. Even when we were
shooting on film, huh? It's a 5.5 minute sequence.
So it's a 5.5 minute sequence.
On Steadicam, and all the challenges. Sure, put them all into the same thing and see what happens.
I stopped questioning anything. Just be with this guy, surrender to him, and I had no other choice. So this is what I'm saying, that I didn't do anything. I didn't perform. I was just there, just flowing with the moment, feeling the moment, feeling everything, feeling the balcony, feeling the flowers, feeling the sofa, looking at the garden outside. Just that. If she's singing, just feeling the music, feeling the singing, that's it. And just flow with it. So I had a very different experience about Jugnuma. And that is, of course, not an actor. Because if somebody asks me what method you adopted, I really don't know. I've just went there and been with the film. That's it.
Chalo, on that note, Ram, Manoj sir, thank you so much.
Thank you.
This has been a lovely conversation, and thank you so much for all the insights on the film and on those beautiful experiences that are just so rare to come by. Thank you so much, and all the best for the film. Thank you for watching the interview. This is Mr. Raam Reddy and Mr. Manoj Bajpayee at Humans of Cinema.
Who love each other very, very much.